Yeah, right, guys, welcome to my channel. This is Crypto Type, the inflation avoider. How is everybody getting on? I'm recording this a day early because I've got an appointment today that some of you might be aware of. I'm just looking at the markets and just with what's been going on in crypto, and we're not really seeing much positive movement that you'd expect some after some of the announcements from the Fed in the USA. But no, not really. In fact, we've seen quite the opposite, negative impacting on prices. Bitcoin, I think, is at 107,000 as we speak. Now, we don't really want that going or staying below 104, because then we do start to question whether we are actually now in a bear market. But that doesn't change anything for me. It just gives me longer to be able to pick up more crypto at lower prices for the long term. So I'm not really too worried. All it means in terms of my strategy and my plan is that I don't get a alt season to take advantage of and make big profits out of that I can rotate back in at a later date. So, yeah. But I have said I would expect that the bulk of the massive boost upwards for our alt season would happen at a time when everybody's given up on there being an alt season at all. Maybe we've seen the highs, you know how it goes. And people are getting there. People are really getting there. Most people I've heard have been saying that was it. And now it's just about holding tight and hoping that they're wrong. And there is that chance it's not over, but there is also a fair chance that we are stuck with our bags for quite some time to come, and we'll have to just wait it out. But that's all right as well. It just means that plans for the profits and what you're going to do with the profits when you take the profits are going to have to be somewhat delayed. There was no point taking them out at the top. I mean, I did take some profits here and there like I have done with Avalanche, and I'm now pretty much bought back into Avalanche, if not more than I was before. So that's good for me. And I'm sure a lot of other people are taking advantage of cheap prices, especially on things like Casper as well, which has been really, really cheap at the moment. But the big question from me now is I'm still wondering, those speculative limit orders I said that might be an idea to place. Is that still incoming? In other words, another big flash crash before we can move up. It is still possible. You know what the market's been like. It's not really something that I come as much of a surprise. Things can always get worse, as it has been the case for a lot of this. And I've had my short time trading, or should I say investing in crypto. It's only been over 6 months now, maybe 7, knocking on for 7, or however I've been doing this, maybe 8, I'm not sure now. I'm losing count, but 7 months probably. And yeah, I luckily, as I've mentioned before, didn't buy the bulk of it when it was at the last high, but I did spend a decent amount while it was at low prices and kept topping up as it went up a little bit. And that means right now, yes, it's a lot of red. I mean, as we stand today, there is a lot of red. And a lot of people will be looking at their portfolios a bit nervously, wondering whether this is it. And that is the best time, because it does really, really, I mean, whatever is going on in crypto, it feels like something big is coming. And if you look at the future of crypto long term, I just can't see any other way. It's like what I do, I mean, this is to people who hold Casper, actually, because I've spent a lot of time trying to rail against my own arguments about why I am in Casper. And what I do, just my personality, is to scrutinize my argument, my beliefs, more than I had even scrutinized people who believe the opposite. And that's essentially what I've been doing a lot of with Casper. Now, regardless of how much I scrutinize that, the long-term outlook for Casper is positive. There's no getting away from that. Every argument that and counter-argument I try and create, the long-term strategy is still make sure you've got plenty of Casper. Now, whether you decide to sell some, like I will, to take profits at the height of an alt season, that's the strategy. And then you can buy back in. But long-term, 5-10 years, having as much Casper as possible, whichever way I've tried to argue against it to myself, seems the smartest policy of all. It's more likely than not going to make a lot of money for a lot of people. And the same applies to crypto in general. Crypto, the technologies and usages, it's the future. I mean, it's partly now as well, but it is the future. The big question is, will we see, how much of it will we see in our lifetime? So that all depends on how old you are. The younger you are, the better it is for you. And the best time it is to be in crypto. When you're getting older, you're looking at 15, 20, 25 years, maybe slightly more, maybe less, I don't know. And that way, I think it definitely will. You know, I'm pretty certain that most of what is to become of crypto will happen within that time frame. It is going to be the go-to for most things that are done the old-fashioned TradFi ways, and that will be moving in more and more and more onto crypto. And then there'll come a time, maybe not in my lifetime, when Bitcoin might replace gold in terms of the store of value and what people use. Probably won't come in within my lifetime, but one day, could it happen? Plausibly, yeah. And especially, it's like a self-feeding loop in a way. As people trust crypto more, utilize crypto more, they don't see it as some asset that's just really risky, and the crypto market matures, then Bitcoin becomes more and more normalized and viable as a store of value. And we'd already seen smart money starting to come into Bitcoin, but crypto has a massive future. And this is the thing I want people to sort of, it's not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor, by the way, but it is the overall future of crypto. And that and AI are probably, and it's not just a narrative for alt season. And that's a big point of it as well. This is a long-term narrative. What is next? What are we going to rely on as a globe? We're going to rely on, just like the internet, there was a dot-com bubble. Well, that was how people were getting to grips with what it is. You could liken the dot-com bubble maybe to meme coins and certain projects that are on there. Because, as I've said before, what I believe is going to happen when the market matures is there'll only be 10 or 20 major ones, and they'll fly and hold the value and keep growing, where the rest will basically die into nothingness. So if you're holding them bags, they'll be worthless. And that's why I stay away from meme coins. But the important stuff will thrive. And that's what everything will be built upon. And essentially that's the dot-com bubble. You've got Amazon, Google. Those have grown and thrived, whereas all the other ideas that were turned into dot-coms, all these websites were like, well, they're useless. It just focused on a handful in the end. And that's what happens. That's what always happens. That's how the world works when it comes to economics, business, you know. So I think it's not if, but when, whether it be voting, whether it be the traditional finance now becoming finance all using crypto, I would say DeFi, but I don't think centralized and decentralized for the most workings are going to be that important. There will be for certain things, but when institutions are in, they want things centralized, and that's just the way it goes. So it's looking for the right projects now that you're on early, and we're early. This is it. This is the thing. Whatever way you look at it, we're not late in crypto. We are early. We are at that, probably that .com bubble time. If you were holding shares in Google back then and things like that, that's where you're probably at now with some of the crypto that you're holding. It's about choosing smartly, and that's why investing for me is a long-term strategy. I'm looking at ones that I think have got long-term staying power and actual usage and reasons for holding it. And Casper fits into that, actually. It fits in comfortably because it does solve problems and it carries that decentralized aspect, which is still important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying be decentralized. I'm just saying it's not going to be the be-all and end-all of crypto. So I'm looking at my portfolio, and when I'm seeing the prices, all it is, if there isn't an alt season, is a minor inconvenience. It just means that it's business as usual. I'm not going to be able to cash in a little bit of it and, maybe spend it on a new kitchen or whatever, or a new car or something like that. Take that little bit and go, well done you, and then recycle, rotate the rest. That's all it is. It's an inconvenience. Long term, as long as I keep myself healthy and everything like that, we're still on track. And what it means is there's going to be plenty of time for getting things cheap as well. And it's good to be on now. I think this is like the perfect time for crypto. So whatever happens, whether people will lose faith in it because they're not going to see, let's say alt season doesn't happen and this is a bear market, then we're just going to have to put up with thinking, shit, we could have got that a lot cheaper if we'd have just waited. And that's where patience comes in the market. But on the good side of that is you're able to buy lots up of the stuff you think is really, really going to be the future and what is going to be absolutely essential and with mass adoption. And you're going to be able to get those cheap. And it's the best opportunity ever. So, do I still think alt season is about to explode? Yeah, it's yeah. And the worse thing gets, the more I think there might be something explosive in line. Otherwise, it don't really matter. I'm in for the long term anyway, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are your hopes? Are you bothered if that were it? Are you patiently waiting? Do you believe in the bigger picture for crypto? Do you think we are the lucky ones? We're in early and we're going to benefit from that long term? Let me know in the comments. Also, hit the like button as well because it really helps with the algorithm and getting these videos seen. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I just thought I'd give a bit of food for thought because I don't know what's going to happen on Friday, whether we're going to see prices crash or whether they're going to start going up. But whatever happens, which is going to be today when you watch this, well, feel free to update me in the comments. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.